was a massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. In the Senate. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. But I went from leading by a lot to losing by a little. We used to have what was called election day. Now we have election days, weeks and months. Lots of bad things happened. What can I say? Wow. It was a massive dump. Our country cannot live with this election. Right now, we're worried about the present and what went on with an election that we won without question. In Pennsylvania, large amounts of dump. All over the country, dump. Nevada and California said dump. Right here in Washington. It was a massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. In the Senate. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. But I went from leading by a lot to losing by a little. So many got ballots, they didn't even know what they were for. And again, so many received more than one ballot. In some cases, more than two ballots. If you were a Democrat, we're going to fix up your ballot, make sure it's perfect. If you were a Republican, can you believe this? The hardest thing I have to do is dump. When they're irregular, dump. Let's go on to the next dump. It's because they know they are hiding with a massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. In the Senate. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Massive dump. And to this day, everyone's trying to figure out where did it come from. Massive dump. Wow. But I went from leading by a lot to losing by a little.
Here we go. Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Hour one. And greetings, Earth Explorers. Welcome to X Squared Radio. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew, coming to you live from an undisclosed location east of the Appalachian Mountains. This is where the past meets the future. In here, the results are always positive. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear. You will be safely traveling with us. We are streaming to you live through the Truth Frequency Radio Network on audio. This is where the Truth Freaks hang out, and we are not afraid to let our Truth Freak flag fly. We're also streaming to you live on Foxhole, Twitch, Facebook, DLive, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and Rockfin on live video feeds around the world, all simultaneously. So we have a lot of news to go over through tonight. And don't forget, our call lines will be open all night, 213-233-3998. If you're watching on video, it's posted right there on the screen. If you're listening on the Truth Frequency Radio Network or any one of the many affiliates around the planet, it is 213-233-3998. We will watch the call board all night. And make sure we're also collecting the chat on all of those platforms. So you can freely and openly chat on all of those platforms, and we will see it. Good to see you all out there. 86 Troll, Baba Susie, J.M. Kirk, Liberty Marie, Old Dog, Carib 67. Very good. And J. Scott Weiler. And Not Quite Human. Everyone there, and good to see you on all kinds of platforms, on DLive, on Twitch, on YouTube. Good to see you out there. So keep those comments coming. A lot going on in the news today around the world. I'm going to touch on a lot of that, but I want to start out with something that'll kind of set the tone for the year. It's something that maybe we take for granted when we go to the grocery store. We don't really think about it too much. We take a lot of things for granted when we go shopping, except for the price, of course. That's been changing. But it turns out many well-known American brands are no longer American-owned. When you spend your hard-earned dollars hoping to support the good old USA, you might actually be lining the pockets of a giant conglomerate based in another country. I thought I would share some of those with you so that you might be able to make a free choice. It might cost you a little bit more to buy American, but you know where the profits are going. It's one thing to buy something that's built in America by Americans, but that's just the labor. The profits go somewhere else. By the way, as I suspected, the Bengals beat the Chiefs. Looks like the Chiefs just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of ran out of steam in the last 5 minutes of the game. Bengals came back with 21 unanswered points, and they were able to secure the victory with a field goal. So it looks like the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. And right now, the Rams and the 49ers in an all-California NFC match are playing it out. And it's currently tied. So we'll see where that goes out of the corner of my eye. So to help you figure out who owns what, here's a list of, quote, American companies that are now under foreign control. Question on everyone's mind is, how far are you willing to take the cancel culture? I guess Neil Young took it so far, he got so woke he canceled himself. So I don't know how far you can go with this. I mean, there's nothing more American than sipping, say, Budweiser, right? Well, not anymore. While Budweiser is still portrayed as the beer of the Yankees, it's actually owned by a Belgian beer conglomerate, Anheuser-Busch, a company that also owns the brand Corona, Stella Artois, Hoegaarden, Beck's, Goose Island, and Leffe. The Busch family had to part ways with Budweiser in 2008 in a $52 billion sale. Many Busch family members resisted selling, but since the family owned only 5% of the shares at the time, they really had no choice, especially since Warren Buffett, one of Anheuser-Busch's top shareholders, supported the InBev takeover. Also, home of the Whopper, Burger King, originally started as Insta Burger King in Jacksonville, Florida in the 1950s. The brand has changed hands several times since then. In 2010, private equity firm 3G Capital purchased BK for $3.26 billion. And in 2014, a $12.5 billion merger combined BK with Tim Hortons to form the Canadian fast food company Restaurant Brands International. Bet you didn't know that. 3G Capital is still pulling the strings, attempting to grow the world's leading restaurant brand. They have since added Popeyes to their portfolio and enjoy tax savings since the move across the border to Canada. Despite its now slightly misleading name, American Apparel is not an American brand. Famous for its Made in the USA slogan, the retailer once claimed to be the largest clothing manufacturer in the U.S., but times have changed. 2017, the Canadian clothing company Gildan Activewear purchased American Apparel for $88 million, 2 years after it filed or bankruptcy. Since then, the Made in the USA tags have disappeared from the side of garments, and now the company uses the slogan, ethically made, sweatshop free. Holiday Inn, born in 1952 in Memphis, Tennessee, after Kemmons Wilson, the founder, struggled to find an affordable place to stay while on vacation. Soon after, the mid-scale hotel brand won a reputation for its balance of comfort and value, but in the late 1980s, demographic shifts and changes in the competitive arena led to the company start losing market dominance, and they decided to sell. In a complex transaction lasting from 1988 to 1990, Bass PLC, the makers of Bass Beer, took over. They later sold the beer company and formed the Intercontinental Hotels Group, and the British company that now owns Holiday Inn. Ever since the first store opened in California in 1967, Trader Joe's has been known for its high quality and hard to find brands. The original Trader Joe, Joe Colombi, purposefully stocked the discontinued products in order to compete with the dominant 7-Eleven. In 1979, Theo Albrecht, the owner of the German supermarket brand Aldi Nord, bought out Trader Joe's, but the tradition of unique high-quality products continued. How about Ben & Jerry's ice cream? That's about as American as it gets, right? Or at least it used to be. After taking a $5 ice cream making course, the two BFFs, Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, started a humble ice cream parlor in 1978. Must have been a good course because the quality ice cream, heavy mix-ins, and clever flavor names were a hit. The brand exploded and enjoyed decades of success. But in the late 1990s, stock prices started to slip. After refusing offers to sell out to Dreyer's Grand Ice Cream, they finally carved and sold to the Dutch British consumer goods company Unilever for $325 million in the year 2000. And if you think you're supporting the U.S. by catching a flick at AMC, wrong again. In 2012, Daly & Wanda, a Chinese conglomerate run by real estate tycoon and billionaire Wang Qianlin, took over AMC for $2.6 billion. Daly & Wanda was the majority shareholder for almost 10 years, but in 2021, when AMC stock prices skyrocketed around the time of the Reddit GameStop incident, Wanda sold the majority of its shares. According to Yahoo, AMC now has about 3 million individual shareholders, and none of them owns more than 10% of the company. At its peak, you might remember this if you're my age, Hoover was the Kleenex of vacuum cleaners in America. Originally called the suction sweeper, the Hoover vacuum was born in 1907 when an allergy-ridden janitor got fed up with sweeping dust into the air. Since its humble beginnings, Hoover has expanded into a leading multinational floor care company. Hoover has had multiple owners over the past century. In 2007, the company changed hands from Whirlpool Corporation to Hong Kong-based Tektronic Industries for $108 million. At the time, Hoover was struggling due to high cost and lagging innovation. It also fit nicely into Tektronic's vacuum brand portfolio, which includes Dirt Devil and Regina, and allowed Whirlpool to focus on its main offering, which is home appliances. Now, there's Forbes. Let's see. How about let's skip down to this one. Hellman Mayonnaise. Just bought some the other day. Also known as Best Foods in some parts of the country, is the best-selling mayonnaise in the United States. And for good reason. It tastes great if you like mayonnaise. I had a boss once that despised mayonnaise. We used to joke with them all the time about it. Well, the company started in New York City in 1905. It stayed on American soil for 95 years. And in 2000, Unilever, the same Dutch-British company that acquired Ben & Jerry's ice cream, snatched up Hellmann's for $20.3 billion. That's a lot of mayo. Today, the famous mayonnaise is still sold under the two separate brand names, Hellmann's east of the Rockies and Best Foods to the west. Dirt Devil is another famous American bread vacuum company that has been around for more than a century. Let's see here. General Electric has been supplying America with home appliances since the late 1800s. From the first patented electric fan to refrigerators, irons, sewing machines, and more, GE is an appliance brand widely trusted by Americans. But most Americans don't realize that GE's appliances, their business was sold to a Chinese-run company. As time passed and electricity evolved, so did GE. The company grew into more than just an appliance brand and started branching into software applications. Due to this shift in focus, it sold the appliance business to Haier, a Chinese company, for $5.4 billion in a deal that was finalized in 2016. GE Chairman and CEO Jeff Immelt explained that saying goodbye to the appliance division would allow them to be a more competitive company in the digital industrial space. How about Firestone? Firestone is a formerly American tire company that has been supplying Americans with car tires since 1901. Harvey Firestone, the company's founder, was even a buddy of Henry Ford and produced tires for the Model T. But in 1988, Firestone moved overseas to prevent an unsolicited takeover by the Italian tire company Pirelli. Firestone agreed to a $2.6 billion acquisition by Tokyo's Bridgestone Corporation. This purchase made Bridgestone the second largest tire manufacturer in the United States, and today, Bridgestone is the largest tire manufacturer worldwide. How about Gerber? You know, Gerber baby food. It began in 1927 in the small town of Fremont, Michigan, when Dorothy Gerber's pediatrician recommended that she strain solid foods for her baby. The Gerbers already ran a canning business, so they quickly saw the business opportunity. Since then, Gerber has grown to dominate the baby food market in the United States. In 1994, Gerber combined forces with the Swiss-owned Sandoz Limited to expand the brand internationally. Later in 2007, Nestle, another Swiss company, took over in a $5.5 billion acquisition. Originally built in 1893, and then it was rebuilt in 1931, the Waldorf Astoria is an iconic hotel that takes up an entire city block in Manhattan. And in those days, it was the largest hotel in the world. Today, parts of it are considered official New York City landmarks, yet the hotel itself is actually Chinese-owned. In 2014, the Chinese company Anbang Insurance Group purchased it for $1.95 billion, making it the most expensive hotel sale in history at the time. In 2018, the Chinese government seized control of the hotel for a year. So much for an American historical landmark. International Business Machine, you know them as IBM. Big Blue got its start in the late 1800s, producing tabulation equipment used in the 1890 U.S. Census. For the first 30 years of business, it operated under an equally tongue-twisting name, the Computing Tabulating Recording Company. As technology evolved, so did IBM. In the 1960s, when computers weighed more than adult humans, IBM was the largest computer manufacturer in the world. But as computers shrank in size and were marketed to consumers, not just businesses, IBM struggled to keep up. Finally, Lenovo, a Chinese company, bought its PC business for $1.25 billion in 2005. Legendary Entertainment Group is a giant media company most recognized for its Not logo that appears at the beginning of such films as Jurassic Park, The Hangover, Inception, and dozens more. In 2016, this American company changed hands. It's now owned by China's Dalian Wanda Group. The $3.5 billion acquisition makes Dalian Wanda a real estate and investment conglomerate, one of the biggest international entertainment companies to date. By the way, in addition to owning China's largest movie theater company, Wanda also picked up American-owned AMC Theaters, so it not only owns the producer of the movie, but the shower of the movies, the theater of the movies as well. How about this? How about the name Popsicle? It's so popular that the brand name has now become its own dictionary definition. Founded in California in 1924, this American brand refreshed consumers for 65 years before selling to Good Humor, which is now a subsidiary of Unilever, the Dutch-British consumer goods company. Even though the word popsicle found its way into the dictionary and has essentially replaced the generic term ice pop, it is still a trademark term. That means Unilever has the unfortunate duty of protecting it, and it regularly sends out trademark infringement letters to ice pop startups like People's Popsicles. Motorola, founded in Chicago in 1928, is credited with the blessing America the first car radio, walkie-talkie, and mobile phones. As Motorola grew, the company became more complex. To keep things simple for investors, it split into two firms in 2011, Motorola Mobility and Motorola Solutions. Motorola Mobility, the arm focused on mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets, was taken over by China's Lenovo for $2.9 billion in 2014. You notice a lot of these mergers, a lot of these acquisitions, a lot of these Chinese takeovers took place during Barack Obama's presidency and some during Bill Clinton's presidency. It was a massive, huge 70,000 corporations, 70,000 American corporations transferred hands and moved technology to China. Everything from aspirin to airplanes made in China. The John Hancock Life Insurance Company was founded more than 150 years ago in Massachusetts. The 1850s were notorious for dishonest business dealings, so to instill trust in the brand, its creators named their new company after the Massachusetts native founding father, John Hancock. Their strategy worked, as John Hancock is the only life insurance company from that era that still exists. But it's no longer an American company, because in 2004, the Canadian insurance company Manulife Financial Corp acquired John Hancock for $15 billion, making it the largest Canadian cross-border transaction at the time. The year 1918 was an exciting time in Indiana. A local startup, Guardian Refrigerator, a company, just released the world's first self-contained refrigerator just in time to keep those popsicles cold in 1924. But the company was soon acquired by General Motors, and it was renamed Frigidaire, which later gained recognition for producing quality air conditioners, washers, dryers. And in 1979, General Motors passed Frigidaire over to Ohio-based White Sewing Machine Company, which later sold it to Electrolux. I did a contract for them for 21 months. Fine company, over 100 years old. Saks Fifth Avenue is an American luxury department store chain that was established in Manhattan nearly 100 years ago. The original store offered top-notch customer service and sold high-quality clothes. It's now considered a New York landmark. Today, it has 40 stores across North America, and despite changing ownership several times, the store's luxury standard remains. In 2013, Canada's oldest company, the Hudson Bay Company, bought Saks from its parent company, Profits Inc., for $2.9 billion. Now you know, things that you buy, you think are American, are not American at all. Just to let you know. All right, we have quite a few things to go over tonight. Let me just check the chat room really quickly here. We are also live on Rockfin. That's ROKFIN. It isn't a very widely watched network yet, but we spent the money so that we can go live on Rockfin. And if you get a chance, if things are running slow for you in one of the other venues, you can always go to Rockfin, tell your friends about it. We'd like to help support them if we can. We are also not going to stay with YouTube. Once we go to break, we're going to say bye-bye to YouTube. We hate to do that, but Google routinely violates our free speech rights here. And so, although I love Life of Brian gave us a top chat of generous amounts in there. We appreciate it very much. We'd like to stay with YouTube, but we don't like being censored by them. So we usually don't let them stay with us through the entire broadcast. We will ask you to look at the description down below. You can see if you're watching on video, it's right there. Yes, right there where it says, see more. If you click on that, it will open up the links to all these other free speech platforms. And you too can support free speech by leaving YouTube with us. So as soon as we go to break, we will say goodbye to YouTube and we'll move over to these other free speech platforms. Yes. Old Dog says, just here to hit like and leave. Yes, like and subscribe and leave. That's I appreciate that very much. And lots of our listeners go to DLive. DLive was originally a gamers platform, and we brought all of our friends that were banned by YouTube over to DLive, and now DLive has a very substantial podcasting community. You should also know next Saturday is the first class for the Manifestation Masterclass. So if you want to sign up for that, easy to do. All you have to do is go to my website, click on the webinars link, and sign up. It's $47. You're going to get 5.5 hours of training. You're going to get a free book, autographed, and one-on-one interaction with me over 2 Saturdays. Quick break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies, but the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how can you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do?